everybody, and welcome to episode 111 of Own the Road with AutoTrader, where we make car stuff simple for Canadians. My name is Jodi and I'm the editor-in-chief of AutoTrader.
And my name is Sébastien Bell, and I am the associate editor at AutoTrader.
It's hard for me to keep focused when I can see you laughing at the corner of my eye, Sébastien.
No, it's just every time I love a bit that continues, and your presenting is really great. And I'm just, I'm always excited about it.
It's funny because I never meant it to be that way. It just happened naturally, and it just became my whole personality.
And those are the best bits, the ones that come naturally out of, the personalities that we have.
I hope so. I hope everyone listening isn't sick of my voice yet, because even I get sick of my voice sometimes.
I think we get sick of our own voices much faster than anybody else gets sick of our voices. It's like, it's hard to listen to yourself.
It is. Although I have listened to podcasts before where I'm like, I started to resent the host and I'm like, I can't listen to this podcast anymore. And I would be so heartbroken if people left us because of that. So please don't leave us.
We're trying.
We're trying, guys.
We're trying as hard as we can.
Today, Seb and I are playing devil's advocate about bad car features. So we're going to try to maybe see where the automakers were coming from, kind of try to make sense of the bad decisions that us and I think a lot of other people and car shoppers, things that annoy us.
Totally. And yeah, I had this idea. The other day I was talking over a woman and I thought, I'm a white man. I love playing devil's advocate. So I just thought, no, but seriously, I was listening to another podcast. We're allowed to do that. And somebody was talking about things that they hate in cars. And they were talking about like push button starts or something. And I immediately thought like, yeah, I get what you're saying. That makes a lot of sense. But also like, I think that there are good reasons to do this. And I think that we get into a little bit of a sort of complainy mode about newfangled whiz-bangery. And like a lot of the time we're responsible for it as journalists. We get stuck in data, we get stuck in stuff. Like we complain about screens are too big and then we say in a review, oh, well, actually the Toyota Corolla screen isn't very big. It's not as big as the competition.
Speak for yourself. I will never complain that a screen is too small.
Fair enough. Specifically, but like I do think that generally a lot of the things that we think we don't like about cars are much more complicated than they are. And like, I do think that there are good reasons for certain aspects. Some of them in doing research, some of the topics that we picked up in doing the research, I was trying really hard to defend it. And ultimately I still came out being like, well, it's still kind of a bad idea. I
mean, at least we have, grounds to be crabby about stuff.
Exactly.
Like if the facts ain't there... But you've tried, right?
You've tried.
So that's a good effort.
But if nothing else, my hope is to give the audience an idea of why things are going the way they are. And it's not just that, like, I find it frustrating when there's something that I don't understand and everybody's just like, yeah, it's bad. And I'm like, well, no, but that doesn't help me at all.
Yeah, I want to know why.
I want to know why we're here and like what
understand.
Are the reasons. So that's the goal of the episode.
Yeah, so we're trying to make some sense out of this car stuff because we make car stuff simple for Canadians. That's what we do. Yeah. So I've we've gathered a bunch of, very common complaints about modern vehicles.
Yeah.
You started with the push button start and stop start engines entirely, right?
Yeah.
So this one, I used to admit that I really hated stop start engines.
Really?
Because back when it was new, it was very disruptive.
Right.
And the pause was too long.
Yeah.
And, I was driving a manual car, so it always made me feel like I stalled the car, right? So I get that's not a reason that not everyone else doesn't like them.
I find that it works a lot better on manual vehicles because you can kick the clutch in and that starts up the engine. So you have a cue, you have a way of starting the engine before you want to take off.
Exactly.
Whereas in automatic vehicles, you kind of have to let your foot off the brake. And then it's a little more of an unknown. It's like a little more of car to car. When is it going to start up again? How much do I have to lead the shot?
Yeah. And so I get that it was annoying. Previously, I'd always used to turn it off because I thought it was too jarring.
Yeah.
I will say that these days, I never turn it off anymore. I think they've gotten to the point now where I don't even notice it.
Totally.
It is very smooth nowadays.
Well, and that has a lot to do with better electronic systems, and like engines now that are designed to do it. Dan loves this point. He talks about like how older cars, the stop-start system was a retrofit. So like there is an argument to be made that the early systems maybe had an impact on longevity of like important parts and engines. But nowadays engines are designed with stop-start in mind. And I just think that it saves gas. Like it's
Yeah,
just
it does. I mean, there's science behind that, right?
Yeah.
And so if you do a lot of highway driving, it's not going to be super useful to you.
right.
But if you're in the city or the suburbs and you have to idle a lot, it
Mhm.
really helps. So according to the Society of Automotive Engineers, they did independent testing with stop-start engines,
Mhm.
and they said that depending on the situation, i.e. if you're on the highway or in your city,
Mhm.
you can save anywhere between like 7% and 24% of fuel.
Hey, that's a huge
And that's
saving.
pretty good. Another, I think NRCan says you can save about 4 to 10% of
Right.
fuel in typical city driving.
Okay.
So like that was a bit of a big difference for me. But the point being that
Yeah.
you can save fuel. And they say it's roughly $40 to $250 of savings in fuel annually based on average driving.
Right. And like I want $40 to $250, like regardless of where it is on that scale. Like
Yeah.
that's all money in your pocket.
Yeah, and so a lot of people will say that like, oh, that's not enough. Like that's not enough, spread out over 12 months. That's not a lot of savings. But I think what people have to remember with these systems is that first of all, we're up against increasingly stricter emission standards that automakers must comply to, or else they have to pay fines for, right?
Yeah.
And so what is not necessarily going to make a big impact for one driver, but for like 100,000 drivers, that impact adds up and it's massive.
Really fast it adds up. And also, it's free money. It's free savings. Like you don't have to do it. You don't have to change your behavior.
Anything.
It's no different. And also, I wonder when the $40 to $250 annual figure was brought up, because like I bet you these days, with the way the gas prices are going, it's a lot more money than that.
It's probably a lot more than that, right?
Yeah.
And they're saying that like if you have to idle anything over 10 seconds, I think, then it makes a lot of sense for the stop start to shut off the engine.
And like whenever I'm in a car, that's good. With good auto stop start, like I am always like, why would I want my engine running right now? Like, why would I want to be burning gas for no reason right now? It's like really, I really do. I have always been a booster for engine stop start. And yeah, it's only getting better with time. And that's one that I really love. And I struggle to be like, why do people hate this so much? Like, I get that it was a little bit jarring at first. That's fair.
And I think that's where a lot of these complaints are coming from. People are remembering how it used to be, and they have not yet experienced how good it is today.
Right, which is a good point that I often forget, that we are in new cars all the time, and that for most people, it's like, you're not in a new car all that often.
Most people are driving 10-year-old cars,
and it's just when you're shopping for a new one.
Yeah, exactly. And so stop-start systems these days are really good, you know, thanks to like hybridization and mild hybrids. You barely feel it happening.
Totally.
The response time is way faster. It is saving you fuel.
Yeah.
Some cars, like Dan Subaru, even tally up how many minutes you've saved or how many liters of fuel you've saved? I think liters of fuel.
It must be, I think just liters, which is such a cool feature. I love a fascinating gauge like that.
Because you can really see like the impact you're making. You feel good about it.
Totally.
And I think if people can feel good about it instead of like, oh, this is annoying, then it goes further to fulfill its purpose and be actually helpful.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then nowadays, because of, advanced electronics, your climate control can continue running even if your engine is shut off.
Yeah.
So there's really these days no downside to having a stop start.
And I will say that automakers are also getting a lot better at sort of modulating how to get the engine to start again without sort of like being super jarring. Not everybody does it perfectly, but in general, it's gotten a lot better. So it's not like annoying just on like a driving perspective. It's a lot less annoying.
So if you're car shopping today and you've heard about how bad stop-start systems are, like just go and try it for yourself. And I guarantee you're not even going to be bothered by it. It's really not that bad.
Yeah. This is actually another one similarly, and we don't have to go as long into this one, but CVT transmissions, I think that people have a lot of memories of driving CVTs from 10 to 15 years ago, when admittedly they were a little rubber bandy, they were a little bit like groany, and unresponsive. But the technology has gotten so much better. I would wager that a lot of people who get into a really modern vehicle with a CVT transmission wouldn't know that they're in wouldn't know what kind of transmission it has. And also, they are more efficient than automatics. It just makes a lot more sense. Yeah,
and that's kind of why they've become so popular in today's cars.
Yeah.
And again, like if you're hearing complaints about how CVTs are terrible, like, 10, 15 years ago they were.
Yeah.
But today, the technology has advanced so far that again, and we're driving enthusiasts, we still don't think they're that bad. And they started using CVTs because they're more efficient, they're less mechanically complicated, they're more affordable to put in cars.
Totally.
So it's a lot of, I can totally see where they're coming from.
And the alternative is often like 8 or 9 speed transmissions or even 10 speed transmissions. And I will say that the 9 speed in particular, or is it the 10 speed? Anyway, the really high number of gear transmissions, when they're done poorly, they can be searching for gears all the time. And that's as annoying, if not more annoying, than a bad CVT.
Yeah, I would say it's worse.
Yeah. So I think that similarly, if you haven't driven CVT in a while, just give it a chance. Go in with an open mind because I don't think that they are the deal breaker that they once were.
I don't think so. And the new thing about today's CVTs that they didn't have back then that helps a lot in helping them feel more responsive is that a lot of times now they have like an electronic first gear or like an actual first gear. So off the launch, it's a little bit faster. Totally. Which is where it really counts. Yeah, right? Really, and now, you know, that hybrids can pull on their bigger battery packs to help with that acceleration. Like the downsides of a CVT really aren't there as much anymore as they used to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got one that I think is controversial.
Okay.
It's a complaint that I hear a lot. It's like my dad's saying it. Other journalists are saying it. I hear it a lot. Why are screens so big right now?
Yeah, that's I complain about that a lot.
And I understand why. And we this is the one that I think I come down the least pro. I think that it's still
okay, so from an automaker's perspective, why are touchscreens everywhere and so great?
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if I could for a moment. The simple reality is if you want an affordable car, in the year of our Lord 2026, you have to accept that screens will be a part of it. I'm practicing for my lawyer bit on TV.
It's very convincing.
I may be a simple country lawyer.
I love how the character switched halfway.
I'm not dedicated
You're
to
testing out different versions.
I'm working on it. Okay, so the reality is, I think that right now the truest argument for why automakers want to do it, and I think the best argument for why it is not exclusively an evil in our vehicles, is that it makes the vehicles more affordable. The Ferrari CEO recently came out and said that good buttons cost 100% more to produce than a touchscreen in a vehicle. Admittedly, those are Ferrari buttons, but even if you are Nissan or whoever, the simple reality is that buttons are expensive. They're expensive for a couple reasons. First of all, tooling is expensive. If you're making a button, if you're putting a button in a car, you have to make the button. And if you are making a button and you want it to look good, you have to design it well in advance. And you have to tool it. So that's people need to make the tools, people need to make the buttons. And the other thing is people have to install the buttons. They're small, they're complex, and they all have to be wired in. So it's all very complex. It's much more complex than you might think to put buttons in vehicles. The other side of this is that screens are really cheap.
Right.
Even at the beginning when screens were first coming in, like my 2014 Ford Fiesta, which has a screen that's about this big and it's all the way over here and I have to reach for it and it is uselessly small, those screens were still cheaper than having buttons.
Wow.
And now it's only gotten more cheap. You know, it's like really, really affordable.
I mean, screens are on everything now,
Screens are on everything. Everybody's making screens.
You can get a smartwatch at the dollar store.
And the other thing is they provide designers with a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
You can design making changes to a UX is not only a lot easier than making changes to a button layout, it's possible.
Yeah, see, like whenever we complain about touchscreens, designers always say, you know, we can update this system over the air.
Yeah.
You cannot do that with a physical button. If we needed to add some functionality, just download the update and you're good to go.
And that does bring me to my final point, which is that I have another one, but the screens present you with a lot of information and they are very effective at getting a lot of information across. And I do think that if you're thinking you want multicolor lighting in your car, if you want maps in your car, and that's really important for EVs because it helps you find charging stations and stuff that are on your way. Screens are a really effective way of doing that. But the reason that affordability of screens in a vehicle is a really big deal is because the auto industry works on shockingly small margins. If you compare it to the rest of the world or to the rest of the business world, automakers make a lot less profit than other companies. Average profit margin for an automaker is less than 10%. And last year it was 4 point something percent. I think it was 4.2%.
Okay, so they're looking for cost savings wherever they can get it.
They're looking for cost savings wherever they can get it. NYU says that the average gross profit margin for businesses worldwide is 36%. And in the tech industry, they make 40 to 60% profit. So it's not just that automakers are being greedy and they're not just trying to take money away from you where they can. They really do have to save money in order to make any profit at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say that we are in the middle of an affordability crisis in vehicles. One of the things cheaping vehicles within the realm of reasonability, even though we're sort of leaving the realm of reasonability, is that touchscreens bring down costs. And you have to accept that there are going to be some cost saving factors. Having said that, all of the research shows that they're less safe. And I do think that that's just a problem.
Yeah, and I get that automakers need profitability, but at the same time, boo-hoo, here's a tiny violin, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is with the safety thing, right? And this is why we complain about touchscreens so much. And it's why, there's changing regulations about this as we speak, that they're trying to bring back and legislate physical buttons again, because it is so distracting to do a simple task on a touchscreen, change the temperature or change the fan speed.
Totally.
Find a radio station.
Yeah, and it's not just us. The scientific literature, I found a review of 46 scientific journals that were all tackling this issue, and just the wide scientific consensus right now is that screens make you take your eyes off the road for much longer than buttons, and even longer than rotary knobs. It's just screens are the only thing that they're good at is showing you menus, and that's a screen problem, So that they can only solve their own problems. And one of the things that I found pretty alarming is that I was reading an article about screens and how they came to be, and a lot of people point to the Tesla Model S, and they were just kind of going off vibes. And there are interviews with people from Android Auto who are like, yeah, I don't think that Tesla did a lot of research on this, because our research is the Android Auto people were like, yeah, it's really hard to design a screen that's safe. And they're just like, Tesla just kind of went for it.
That sounds very on brand for them.
Look, I wouldn't say it, but yeah. So that's the alarming thing. I do think that affordability is real and cost savings are real. Safety is more important. I will always care more about safety. I think the reality is that we have to accept a phygital driver interface now, where you get some buttons and some screen.
Yeah, it's a mix of the both.
It's a mix of both.
Yeah.
I think that's the reality that we have to accept.
Okay.
And I don't think that that's an entirely terrible compromise.
I agree with you. I think as long as we have physical buttons for stuff that really matters, like emergency flashers, for example.
Oh my God,
right? Fan speed stuff, a volume knob. We're not asking for a lot.
Yeah.
It's just that things that I need instantly that I don't want to take my eyes off the road for, right? And I'm not just being a Luddite because I'm anti-tech, because I'm not.
No.
But I'm pro-safety more than I am pro-tech, right? And in this very similar vein, we hear complaints about pop-out door handles all the time. And again, this comes back to the Tesla Model S, which is one of the first vehicles to implement this wacky new technology. Yeah. And doing a lot of research into this, because a lot has been said about pop-out door handles and flush door mounts and stuff like this. So automotive designers will tell us that it's better for aerodynamics. It's better to create uninterrupted lines in a vehicle. Okay, I can kind of see that. What is the more annoying reason to me is that they don't say this part out loud.
Okay.
But removing traditional elements or reimagining them signifies progress to a buyer.
Oh,
so they're just doing it for kicks. They're like, oh, look, we did something different and fancy. Pay us more money for this. But it's we're not making it better. We're just changing it for the sake of changing it.
Yeah, it just seems more futuristic.
So that you could charge more money for it, right?
Interesting.
But automotive designers and aerodynamicists will tell you, flush or pop-out door handles, they do yield some coefficient of drag improvements.
Okay.
So they said there's a 0.3 to 1.5 reduction in drag,
Interesting.
a 0.5% to 1% improvement in efficiency,
Okay.
and roughly 10% reduction in localized wind noise.
I wonder if that's quietly the most important one.
Well, because if you think about it, pop-out door handles became popular in EVs,
Yeah.
where there is no noise
Yeah,
from the engine to distract you from the other noise happening around the car.
Exactly. You really have to work on trying to reduce noise.
Yeah.
So,
So I think that one might have a little bit more to do with it than anything else. But of course, we've seen problems with this as well.
Yeah.
Like, are those small gains in efficiency worth the trade-off of having this fidgety, annoying door handle
Yeah.
that A, can get pretty stumped if you have an ice storm,
which
you
is
can't get into your car.
Yeah, which is a really big problem. This is not doing its job.
If the motor fails, if the actuator fails, you can't get into your car.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
if there's no like redundant handle that you can use, which a lot of them don't,
Yeah.
right? Like just as an example, I was driving a Polestar 1 at one point, and it had pop-out door handles, but that was super janky, that car.
Yeah.
So I couldn't open the driver's door. The handle wouldn't pop out no matter what I tried.
Yeah.
I called the guy at the dealership and I said like, hey, I got this problem. Like, how am I supposed to get in the car? And he's like, can you enter through the passenger side and just crawl over the console? And I'm like, buddy, this is like a 6-figure car.
Yeah, this is a really fancy car.
What?
Yeah.
And so like, I just don't think it's worth the trade-off. I really don't. And it's gone to the point now where, you know, people are starting to talk about how difficult it can be in like a collision to rescue or escape in a vehicle like this. Sensor failures happen all the time. And it's gone to the point where, you know, that even the Chinese government is starting to legislate against these pop-out door handles,
right?
Because they're such a safety risk, or they can be such a safety risk.
And like opposite end of the door, the button pressing that lets you out. Like I understand that they're like cleaner for door card design and stuff, but like also when you can't get out, people freak out. And also, I know that they all have a redundant system. They're all deeply unclear. And like, I have been in these vehicles and like know where to look to have the emergency release.
Yeah.
And it's recommended that you don't use it unless you're in an emergency, because in a Tesla, at least, you could damage the window.
Yeah.
So like you can't practice with them, and they're hard to find.
And the thing is, if you're in a situation where like you just got in a car crash and you're trying to exit, you're not thinking.
No.
And what if you have passengers who have never been in that car before and they're fumbling around, they can't find it.
Yeah.
And so we have driven so many of these vehicles recently that have like dumb door handles that are not obvious.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sorry, door handles are a safety feature.
Totally.
If you have to explain to somebody how it operates, that is a failed design.
It's one thing that I get really annoyed about. A lot of the time, legibility is more important than like technical speed advantage.
Yeah.
I think about it all the time. There are people who are like, oh, there are more efficient keyboard designs. The thing that matters is that everybody can use a keyboard.
Yeah.
It like matters less to me that I can type 10% faster than that I can type and that the buttons are where I left them and that the buttons are where everybody left them. And it's like, it gets even more important when it's on a door handle, because if you're in an emergency, you don't have all of your brain capacity is taken up being like, I need to get out.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to remember. Okay, so I have to remember that in this car, the door handle is here, but the emergency door handle is over. And it's just like, you need legibility. It needs to be clear.
Yeah.
It needs to be like easy to do quickly.
Yeah, and this is another one of those features where like, despite all of this information that is pro weird door handle, I still come out the other end being like, just give me a regular door handle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
In my mind, there's no justifying a bad door handle.
Yeah, it should just be easy.
Yeah, and I mean, like, even the electronic door releases, like Lexus had this one, and I made a car review video on it, which if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you might have seen it.
I'll link it below.
And it had an electronic button for a door opening.
Yeah.
And they claim that they did this design, so that they could enable a feature called Safe Exit Assist, which is a great feature because it will lock the door and prevent you from opening it if it senses there's an incoming car or a cyclist. So as a safety feature, this is great.
Yeah.
But I feel like other automakers have been able to activate this feature without redesigning the door handle.
I was going to say, I swear I've seen this on cars
Audi
with normal.
has it.
Yeah.
Audi has normal door handles.
Yeah, which is like a pull. Yeah.
So I really can't see the justification. And if I have to explain to a passenger how to open the door, that's failed. The other problem with a lot of these like button activated systems is that I can tell when design teams don't have women on them, because a lot of these buttons, and I know this sounds like a dumb complaint, but a lot of times I have like, press on fake nails, and I can't open these without using my knuckle and another hand.
And that's so frustrating.
It's so
That's
dumb.
something that
This
should
is
be
why
simple and
you
easy.
all need to hire women on your design teams, because like you all aren't thinking about this.
Yeah.
I think like one of the early examples of like a female designer is she's like, okay, we're gonna put holes in these headrests for ponytails.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, genius idea.
A great idea. Yeah. Cars should be accessible. And okay, so that does lead me to the one that I think I got the most radicalized on.
Okay.
I think that this is the one that I am like, looking into it more and more has flipped my thinking on it more and more. So okay, why are cars so big today? It's a question that we've received as an Ask an Expert. It's a question that we get all the time. And it's like a really easy complaint to have about like, cars today are so big. Why are they so big? I think that it's good that cars are bigger today.
Interesting.
My basic argument is that bigger cars are safer. They're more comfortable. And they're more comfortable. And so these are both very important things. So first of all, a modern vehicle in 2012 had a 56% lower fatality risk for occupants than one in the 1950s.
Wow.
So like, obviously we have achieved a lot of improvements in safety in the last, 50, 60 years, in the last half a century. But like, to put that into context, that's 600,000 people who didn't die on the road who would have otherwise died.
Right.
That is a big number, and it matters a lot. This is because of like, obviously size and safety are not a one-to-one link, but a lot of the things that you need for safety, crumple zones, you need a lot of technology to have like, even stuff just like anti-lock braking, and blind spot monitors, they all require wiring and complex stuff. And that all takes space. So first of all, cars are bigger because it's safer. And that like really matters. Second of all, I don't know, this complaint I often hear of like, oh, well, look at the new Mini compared to the old Mini from the 60s. The old Mini from the 60s was so teeny tiny, and the new one is enormous. And like, yes, the new Mini is much bigger than the Mini from the 1960s. However, it would be unconscionable to sell a Mini from the 60s today.
You would die instantly in a crash.
Yeah, it is a tin can. You need, like, there's an expectation of safety. That is a good expectation. We should continue fighting for safety because automakers, like, only care about it insofar as it sells vehicles.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's a good one because a lot of people are like, oh, I miss the days when steering wheels were nice and small. I'm like, why are they so big? Oh, because of airbags.
Yes.
That will save your head.
That will save your life. And make a big, and yeah, huge. My other argument is that it's not, so second of all, when's the last time you were in a 1978 Volkswagen Rabbit? Like,
Never.
When's the last time you were in the back of an old economy car? They were small and uncomfortable. Like, the new cars being bigger is consumer demand because we want cars to be bigger because it's much more comfortable.
Right.
Having being in the back of a Civic sedan today is like pleasant in a way that being in the back of my 2001 Beetle, the first car I had, was not. I had to sit like this in the back of the car. It was not very comfortable. Second of all, cars should be inclusively sized. It is a fact that there are people in large bodies. It is a fact that there will continue to be people in large bodies. These people deserve dignity. Mm-hmm. They deserve transportation. They deserve to be in cars that fit them. I think that being like all cars should be smaller doesn't make sense.
That's just unrealistic.
And it's unrealistic. Yeah. Second of all, I think the thing that has allowed cars to get bigger is that power is way cheaper. I found Enercan had sort of a comparison point of an economy car in the 50s and an economy car today. The economy car in the 50s had 50 horsepower and weighed 680 kilograms. In 2012, it weighed 1,200 kilograms and had 150-ish horsepower. So it weighed twice as much and had 3 times as much power. So it's cheaper to make more power, which means that now that cars are bigger. Cars are bigger because they can be and because that's what people like.
Mm-hmm.
My other thing is that are cars that much bigger today than they have ever been? So there are cars today that are enormous. That cannot be denied. And I do think that it's bad for like pickup trucks and whatever full-size SUVs to have hoods that you can't see a child beyond. That is obviously a bad thing. However, if you look at like for like economy car to economy car, and the average size of North American vehicles between 2005 and 2024, American vehicles grew by about 8.8%. However, if you look between 1956 and 1974, they grew by 30%.
Yeah.
So like the rate of change actually isn't as big as it once was. And if you think about it, it makes sense. There is an amount that cars can grow because there are lanes and, there are garages. So the cars still have to fit. I think that the real thing that has changed is that our tastes have changed. And instead of buying economy cars today, we're buying more crossovers, realistically. Yeah. And crossovers are just bigger than economy cars. And then it comes back to the thing of margins are small. Crossovers offer better
more
profitability. And also, in North America, size is tied in with luxury in a big way.
Bigger is better.
Bigger is better. Yeah. And we like big vehicles, so we buy big vehicles. So I think that bigger cars are safer, generally, to an extent. Bigger cars are more size inclusive and more comfortable, which is better. And people just like them, and that's how the world was. And I do think that, like, I just don't think that the cars being bigger is the problem that it's made out to be.
Interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I always go back to, it's more profitable. They're going to pump out these huge trucks because they can charge 6 figures for it, blah, 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 blah. But, we live in a very big country with a lot of big jobs that need to be done by big vehicles. Yeah. And that's just all it is. Not everybody lives in a little city. Yeah. Right?
And like, obviously not in 100% of cases. I'm sure there are a lot of people who could have a smaller car than they have currently. And like, I do understand the complaint about cars getting bigger. And I understand that there are like arguments to be made about fuel economy and other things. So like, I don't think that it is exclusively a good thing that cars are bigger, but in general, the research has led me to be much less concerned about this as a problem than I was when I started.
Okay, well, good point. I'm convinced. You've convinced me. That was nice.
There you go.
If any of you have your kind of issues with vehicles that you would like us to be devil's avocado about, you can email us at expert@trader.ca. But we have an Ask an Expert question today. But before that, here's a message from your friends at AutoTrader. We at Own the Road love making car stuff simple for Canadians, and the AutoTrader app does the exact same thing. Sign up for price drop notifications, find out how much your car is worth, get an instant cash offer from a vetted dealership, get all your expert advice, and more. Download the AutoTrader app today. Today's Ask an Expert comes from Marnie. Hello, I'm thinking of purchasing a new vehicle for my family. What's the best car to own if you have children? I'm looking for some nuanced and thought-provoking takes from a panel of reputable experts, if possible. Thanks. Well, thank you so much for that question, Marnie. I had asked a couple more questions, follow-up questions, but she didn't respond yet. But if she does, I will follow up on that. So I asked her what her lifestyle was. What does she and her family do?
Big question.
What the budget was.
Budget is another one. And I do also think number of children is a really big consideration.
That was my next follow-up.
Yeah.
So, and I'm honestly going to say, if you have 2 or 3 kids, you cannot do better than a minivan. And I know people don't like minivans because they think it's uncool or whatever the messaging is out there. Yeah. But I will tell you that if you need the right tool for the right job.
Truly. And
a minivan will change your life because it will make things so much more convenient and frictionless in your everyday life.
Yeah.
sliding doors.
Ugh.
Can't get enough of sliding doors. Your kids will never ding a parking neighbor ever again.
Yeah. Or
So many less things for you to stress about.
if you have a garage, if your driveway is kind of narrow,
Yeah.
also you don't have to worry about your kids dinging your own car.
Exactly.
Dooring a bicyclist.
18 cup holders is
Yeah.
amazing. Kids always need little places to stash their stuff and their
Totally.
snacks.
Yeah.
And these minivans are built for family life. Like,
Yeah.
no, they're not sexy vehicles, but they will make your life a lot easier. And these days, the downsides that used to be very obvious with minivans don't really exist anymore. Like, now you can get minivans with all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
You couldn't do that before.
Totally.
Hybrids are now available in minivans.
Very common. I think a lot of minivans can tow as much as crossovers.
Uh-huh.
So if you think that you want a 3-row crossover because you have you have a small boat or you have the Ski-Doo or whatever, like the minivans in a lot of cases can do everything that a crossover can.
Yeah, very true. And I think are there still V6 minivans out there? I feel like there's a couple.
Yeah. I think the Pacifica still has a V6.
Okay.
And does the Carnival still have a V6?
I can't remember. So I was going to recommend the Kia Carnival Hybrid.
Yeah.
I think it's a great minivan.
Totally.
It gets killer good fuel economy.
Yeah.
That one does not come with all-wheel drive, although you could get the Sienna. I recommend the Toyota Sienna Hybrid a lot to people.
Yeah.
Because it does come with all-wheel drive.
Absolutely.
However, I have heard anecdotally that the wait times for Siennas are very high.
Yeah, it's very hard to
And
get.
there's no wait time for a Kia Carnival Hybrid, and it's cheaper.
I am increasingly of the opinion that all-wheel drive isn't a safety feature
100%.
in the same way that winter tires are. So if you're really worried about safety, I think that get some really good winter tires, and any trouble that you're going to get into with a front-wheel drive vehicle, you would also be getting into with a all-wheel drive vehicle.
Mhm.
So I do think that is like, don't be afraid of front-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think minivans, they grow with a family. You can throw some in-laws in there. You have room for like your kids' friends and their teammates or whatever.
Totally. And if you have an active lifestyle, I also think that it's a really good idea. You only have 2 kids, but you like to go camping. That you only need 1 tent for you and your partner, and the kids can sleep in the van. Like, it makes a lot of sense as a practical all-rounder.
Absolutely. And if you need more space, you could throw a roof box on top of there. You could tow a little trailer behind you.
Yeah, a little pop-up trailer.
There are so many practical things that minivans do so well, and I recommend them so often.
Yeah.
And if you're worried about, I don't like I don't want people to think I'm uncool or whatever, like, who cares?
Son Kane drives a minivan, so.
And he's the coolest guy out there.
He's the coolest guy I've ever seen.
Right? So I feel like if that's what's holding you back from getting a minivan, just like, screw it. Who cares? You'd be like, my life is easy because I got a minivan. Marnie, if you can answer any of those follow-up questions, we'll be better able to make some recommendations. But I highly, highly recommend a minivan. I don't think you will be upset if you got a minivan just because they're so good at what they were built to do.
They're so good at it.
Thank you, Marnie, for your question. If any of you would like to ask us questions, you can email us at expert@trader.ca. But that closes out this episode. Thank you so much for joining us. Drive safe, and we'll see you next time.